What is up, everyone? We are back for another Friday fireworks show. We're into June now, June 13. Wow, the season's just flying by. I'm back after a week off. I was on the Tuesday show, but missed you last Friday on the fireworks show. Hope it went well without me. Stats, what's going on? How was your week?
It's going well, man. Yeah, just back like I was telling you earlier from New York. So just get back in the swing of things, back in the grind.
Yeah, it's been an interesting week of games. We got a huge slate tonight, 12 gamer. We got the U.S. Open going on over here with interesting leaderboard so far. Personally hoping it switches up a little bit before Sunday, but it should be fun. Just telling you, I got a golf trip myself this weekend. Hopefully we'll be able to watch some. It's always tough trying to plan something like that and play while also track everything that's going on without being that guy that's on his phone the entire round. So I'm gonna try and do that dance this weekend. But
when you're in this world, I mean, when I golfed in the fall, it's like I'm nonstop trying to work on my bets and golf at the same time. It's just not. It actually makes it unenjoyable. You got to have the ability to play during the week like I do, and in the morning during the week, less sporting events going on.
Yeah, Christian, I'm going down to Nebraska playing this public course called Landman. It should be cool. Go ahead and Google it. Hope I play well. We'll see. I don't play that much outside being in Chicago. It's mostly sim golf for me, so I'm excited. But all right, we have 12 games to get to. Stats. Let's churn through these. It's an interesting slate. We don't have cores. We don't have either of the minor league stadiums. So the team totals are a bit lower, but that presents some opportunities for us. If you have takes with team totals in the fours, go ahead and take that stand because you're not giving up 2-3 runs, fading a cores team. We'll start with a good spot here. I think Angels are in Baltimore facing my Orioles here. We got Jack Kochanowicz and Chuck Morton pitching. Two super cheap pitchers here. You having interest in either one here? Charlie Morton had the disaster start out in Oakland last time, but had looked fairly good before then. What do you think here?
Yeah, I'm going to pass on both of these pitchers tonight. I really like the offense in this game. I think Kochanowicz, you've got just way too low a strikeout totals there. I would totally throw him out 5,500. We've got a few other cheap pitching options that I think we can play, and Morton's at 6,300. Better strikeout upside, but the walks, the amount of runs that we're looking at projected in the prop markets, I'm not high on either one of these guys today. So it's going to be bats for me only, and quite frankly, Baltimore might have the best stack. We might have the best stacks of the entire slate here with Baltimore, but the Angel stacks, I like them both. We've got some cheap bats with Soler. You've got Adele. I don't think we got that Baltimore. Did we get the Baltimore lineup?
We just got it right as we went live.
Yeah. So we got that one. But, I mean, I think Gunnar Henderson's going to be one of the top plays on the entire slate here tonight. Probably going to be extremely owned as well. You're going to have a few of these guys really high owned, I think, more on the Baltimore side. But I kind of like the Angels as well. I think you're getting a little bit of value on the Angels side. I think this entire game worth stacking.
Yeah, I have a little bit of interest in Charlie Morton here just because of the price tag and the matchup. I think it's one of the only spots on the slate where I'm going to play both sides. Like, I think that we can use these Angels power bats as well. But at this cheap price tag, I do like the strikeout upside with Morton. He's been terrible against left-handed bats pretty much the entire season, but really good against righties. xFIP of 3.74 against right-handed hitters. So just kind of a matchup specific thing since we're going to get 6-7 righties, extremely right-handed heavy lineup. So I'll have some Morton, definitely not my favorite play, but I think he's at least playable here. But yeah, it's going to be the offense. You mentioned that we just got the Baltimore lineup. Sucks that there's no Colton Cowser in there. I was excited to play him. They recently got Cowser back. They recently got Westbrook back and Cedric Mullins. So of course, no Cowser, no Westberg in this lineup. That's pretty disappointing. Actually makes me like them a lot less here. I was super excited to play all three of those guys. We haven't been able to play them in the same lineup all season, and two of them are sitting today. So That's pretty discouraging. But yeah, good spot against Kochanowicz, who really, really struggles with left-handed bats. And the bullpen for the Angels has been terrible. Third worst bullpen estimators over the last month. Good hitting weather in Baltimore. So, yeah, I mean, just kind of just a live reaction to seeing this lineup and being disappointed that, two of my favorite plays on the slate, Westberg and Cowser, are not in there. But it does make the back half pretty cheap. Any specific bats from the Angels that you like here? I see that it doesn't look like the 9-hole hitter today is in the player pool, but yeah, the heart of this order has shown a bunch of power lately.
Yeah, no doubt. The Angels are always pretty good GPP plays, in my opinion, just because they do have a lot of power bats. Zach Nato is going to be one of the more popular and I think one of the better options on the entire slate. Trout will probably rate out a little bit higher, but we've got, you got Soler at the 3,300 and Adele at 3,500. I think super cheap, fit nicely. Ohapi, another one that I like. So there's a lot of 5-man stacks that we could play with the Angels tonight that I like, and it'll be a little lower owned than Baltimore. Baltimore might be the highest owned stacks on the slate.
Yeah, God, I just wish those two guys were in. I've been waiting for these guys to come back from injury. The O's haven't been on a main slate in like a week, it seems like. I was ready to stack them up. Obviously, I think he still can. It's just less exciting clicking Dylan Carlson and Ramon Urias over Westberg and Cowser. So, yeah, I'm with you here. I do like the offenses on both sides. Really like the top 6 for the Angels here, and then Rengifo if he needs some salary relief. Lamont Wade is going to be a big pinch hit risk, so I'm docking him a bit. And then I'll have.
What's up? I'm sorry. With the Baltimore total came down a little bit with that. With that lineup. So
man, that's a bummer. Was really looking forward to play those guys. All right, let's go to always a fun rivalry. The Yanks are in Boston this weekend. We saw them play last week. Well, I didn't see them play last week because I was out of the country, but 2 series in a week pretty much for the Yanks and the Red Sox. Crochet faces Yankees again. He got touched up a bit in that start at Yankee Stadium, but still struck out 9 hitters, 9, 12, and 11 Ks in his last 3 starts. Stats. Crochet up at 10-8 here, going up against Ryan Yarbrough. What do you think about Crochet on this slate?
I mean, I have Crochet as the number 1 option on the slate. He's got the just tremendous strikeout upside.
Yeah.
Here we look at, if I bring up the betting markets, but we're looking at like 1.3 K per inning type of upside. No one is even close to that on the entire slate. When we look at the prop market, he's got a 7.5, slightly juiced to the over. I believe that's going to be the highest one on the slate with 18.5 outs projected, and that's heavily juiced to the under. Yarbrough, just 4.5, minus 150 to the under for him on the K props, and 15.5 for his out props. So, yeah, I mean, Crochet, I've got number 1, but I think this is one of those where you can play Crochet. I think you could play some Yankees as a little bit of a leverage play, and specifically, I think whenever you get Judge in a leverage spot, I mentioned him on Wednesday, using him. He was way more owned than Saber had thought, and I thought it would be a little bit higher.
I had him too, and then he hits the immediate bomb, or was that Tuesday? I'm not sure.
That was Wednesday. He hit the home run, and I said he was in my 1 player like to have the best day, and I thought he would just be a good option to maybe to use at a slightly lower ownership. I think the ownership certainly on a slate like today with 12 games, and you've got probably one of the top pitchers going as far as ownership with Crochet against him, you're going to get real low ownership on Yankee bats. I think you could play them in some secondary stacks or one-offs with Judge. I would like to use it with Judge there and get some leverage on the field, even though I like Crochet as my number 1 option. In 150 builds, of course, I'm going to have both. But I think you could play some Yankee stacks here to get some leverage.
Yeah, I think with the Yankees, you're hunting power against Crochet there for the most part. Probably sticking with the top of the order. Any interested in the Boston bats here? whenever they face a lefty, it's always pretty dicey for me because they're going to have Ref Snyder and Romy Gonzalez high up in the order. And we know they're coming out the second the starter is. Just kind of gives me a bit of a pause, especially at the price tags. It's not like these guys are cheap. But, they are at home here in a decent spot. They got to Yarborough big time at Yankee Stadium. 9 hits, 8 earned runs, and 4 innings last time stats. Any interest in some Boston here?
Yeah, well, I didn't mention Yarborough as far as where I have him. I'm not using him at all. So I do like some of the Boston bats, and I think Romy Gonzalez, it looks like he's in the 3-hole tonight. I think that's your best option on the Boston side. Really like him. Again, Boston, similar spot to the Yankees, where you're going to be getting really low ownership. So I think Boston stacks are definitely in play, but more, again, on the secondary. So I would use both of these sides as secondary options. I think Story at 3,400 is an interesting choice as well. I wouldn't go any 5-man stack. I just don't like the 5-man stacks for either one of these teams tonight, but I think you can get some leverage on the field with both of these, with both of them playing single pieces and 2- and 3-man secondary stacks.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I do prefer the Boston side, obviously, because of the easier matchup. I do like the mini stack approach there. The Yankees bullpen can get pretty gnarly if this game is close late. So I'm with you there. All right, let's go to the third game, Cincinnati and Detroit. Looks like Detroit is going to use an opener here, and then Keider Montero, the bulk option, and then Nick Martinez at 7,200 for the Reds. Any interest in either of these pitchers before we talk about the bats?
Yeah, I have some interest in Martinez for sure. The K per inning number, not quite where I would like it, but at the 7,200, don't mind that at all. Guy who doesn't walk anyone, so that helps. So I do have Martinez, and I've got him rated like 7th best option on the entire slate. So he's definitely going to make the mix. He'll be in the mix for me on my 150 builds. As far as the Montero, I'm going to totally pass there.
Yeah, same.
On Montero. So it would just be, I would just be looking at bats for Cincinnati, and really I don't really like either side all that much in this game as far as bats go. I think you could play some one-off pieces. I think Carpenter's cheap at 4K. Ellie's always an option as a single entry into your lineup. Torkelson as well, not bad price at 4,100. But I'm gonna stay pretty much away from the Detroit bats outside of those two guys. Cincinnati, I think you could play them maybe a little bit more secondary stats. Some of these guys are fairly cheap. With McLean 3,700, even Connor Joe down at 2,100, basically almost a min price is not terrible. But again, not my favorite 5-man stacks. I think these are secondary stacks at best.
Yeah, it's kind of an odd slate, right? Where there's a couple of higher totals and just a bunch of kind of middling games where I'm not really sure what to do. I do like having some Nick Martinez here. He's been pretty solid and steady the entire season outside of that start at Wrigley Field. I think that was like 2 weeks ago. Pretty good pitching weather here too. Stats probably the best of the slate so far. In Detroit, we got winds blowing in from center. It's already a tough park to hit home runs in. So I think this game is Nick Martinez for me, and then I'll probably leave in like you said, the Kerry Carpenters, Riley Green, Spencer Torkelson for one-offs, secondary stacks. And then, the Cincy bats are at least cheap, right? So, they'll fit in certain builds. Encarnacion Strand has been pretty hot swinging the stick. So I think this is not a game where I'm really interested in stacking up. But I think there are pieces that you can play with Nick Martinez, probably my favorite play in the game. Any last words there?
No, I think that's it.
All right, let's go to New York, where you just were over this last week. We got Tampa's in town. Taj Bradley, who I feel like starts every third day. I feel like he's on 3 slates a week. Got to make a decision on him. And Clay Holmes has been really good, all the way up to 9K, though, now stats. Where do you stand on these pitchers?
Yeah, it's a little pricey. I've still got Clay Holmes fairly high. I've got him as my 5th option on the slate. Taj Bradley's down at 15th option. Probably going to pass on him, but I do have plenty of interest in Clay Holmes. Now, the strikeout, I would like the strikeouts to be a little bit higher as far as where we're projecting him. He's kind of mid in his walks. Projected earned runs, though, near the top on this entire slate. So, and, we're expecting at least he's favored in the win category to get some points there. When we look at the betting market, you've got Holmes 5.5 on the strikeouts, 18.5 on his outs with a heavy juice to the under. And Bradley's got 4.5 on his strikeouts, juiced to the over a bit with 16.5 pitching outs as his prop. So, yeah, for me, it's just going to be Clay Holmes. And I do like Mets bats as well here. I like Mets in 5-man stacks. They're big bats. Alonso, Lindor, Soto, Nimmo, all rate high for me. So I like 5-man Mets stacks tonight. Not so much on the Tampa side. I don't even like the Tampa side as far as leverage plays go, maybe against. So I'm just looking at Mets bats here.
Yeah, tough Mets bullpen behind Holmes as well. So I'm with you there. No raised bats here for me. I like the Mets, though. Like, man, they have been smashing the ball. Hottest offense in baseball against right-handed pitching. And they get a super volatile one here in Taj Bradley. He is talented, but when it goes bad, it goes real bad for him. Brandon Nimmo's had a great week. They're a bit pricey up top, so you're going to have to dip down in salary at pitching to play these guys. But, yeah, I really like the Mets. I actually like the Mets a bit more now that we got this shitty Baltimore lineup with a bunch of pitch hit risk in the back half of it. Like, that's, with the cheap bats in the back half of this order, it does balance it out a bit, though. You can play Ronnie Mauricio, who has speed at third base at 2,500. You get the catcher out of the way there with Alvarez, too. So I really like the Mets here. I'll have 5-mans of them. And then probably some Holmes. He's not my favorite. I kind of like going all the way up or living in this mid-range. But, yeah, I mean, I can't deny how great Holmes has been this season. Any last words on this one?
No, I think that's it.
Yeah. Nimmo, Soto, and McNeil. Yeah. Simple Jack has been killing the ball. Let's go to Atlanta. Our Friday night Braves have the pace-eating Rockies in town. Stats. It's all coming together for us. Friday
Braves with the Rockies.
Friday Braves with the Rockies. We got German Marquez and his seven even ERA, 1.68 WHIP on the season for him. Going up against Bryce Elder, who is coming off the best start of his entire career out in San Fran with 38 DK, 12 strikeouts. Not something that we think is going to be repeatable, obviously, but the best matchup on the board. I feel like we haven't really seen a home pitcher against the Rockies priced down this much in a while. Stats. Elder, not a guy that we're buying a ton long term, but we've got to like this salary here at home as a huge favorite against the Rockies.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised at the price. It seems like they've been kind of jacking up the price on these pitchers against Colorado. So 7,800. I think the entire market's going to feel like that's a bargain. I've got him as the third best pitcher on the slate, better than a K per inning projected in the betting market. We're looking at 5.5 strikeouts for him at -120 to the over, with Marquez 3.5 -150 to the over. So I've got a lot of interest in Elder, as I think the market will. I think Saber, I took a glance at it, low 20s. I think that's going to be low. I think he's going to be even higher than that against Colorado. I think people just they kind of auto click against a couple of these teams. And Colorado's
how does he only come in 20%? I'm not buying that at all.
It's not happening. I think he's going to be closer to maybe 30 and in the 30s, somewhere over 30, something like that. And the thing with Colorado is you can't even use them as a leverage play on the road. I mean, at home maybe once in a while, you could take them as a leverage, but you just can't even you just can't play any of their bats. So we're gonna leave Marquez alone, playing Elder, and then this is going to be a heavy Atlanta stack night, I think, here for me. We've got, just the bats all through this lineup. I like pretty much everyone but Nick Allen is really high here for me. But in my 5-man stacks, of course, I'm going to use Allen as well. So this entire Atlanta offense is going to rate somewhere. I think they're all, when I get the boom report out after this, they'll all be elite level. Maybe we'll get one person in the high, but they'll mostly be elite level bats. This is going to be one of the higher the higher boom report stacks on the night. It should be very heavily owned as well.
Yeah, two things here. With that Orioles lineup, I like the Braves more than the Orioles. Saber, I haven't updated it here in a couple of minutes, but currently has the O's higher owned than the Braves. I'm going to have more Braves than O's with this Orioles lineup here. Got to love how they match up. Marquez has been atrocious at home or on the road, even worse than he's been at Coors. And an 8.82 ERA, 1.93 WHIP on the road this season. Just not missing any bats. The Braves have been fairly cold, but man, this is just a perfect spot for them to get right. Do you have any concerns with Ozuna here? Stats. It came out that he's been playing through a hip injury. He's really done nothing over the last 2-3 weeks. I think that's enough for me to, like, if I'm hand building a 5-man, maybe pass on him just because all of the bats here are good. I don't know, that hip injury, playing through it just kind of gives me not really a warm and fuzzy.
Yeah. I mean, it's not something you feel good about. I agree. In a hand build, I'd avoid them, but I'm certainly not taking them out in these
No.
builds.
No, just something to note moving forward. Hasn't hit, and it's come out that he's just playing through it. But, not bad enough where he's sitting. And he's not going to sit in a home series against Colorado stats. He's going to play through it to face Colorado for the weekend.
Pad the stat weekend. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, I think Elder is just an elite play here at that price tag. I'd be surprised if he comes in that low. I'm expecting 40 plus in single entry stuff for him. Just a nut spot as a huge home favorite. All right, let's keep it moving. Let's go to the next game on DK, which is in Texas. The White Sox are in town. Adrian Hauser, who's pitched well, pitched above his head so far, actually was on the Rangers beforehand, has a Rangers hat on DK in his picture. Going up against a bullpen game for the Rangers here. Any interest in Hauser at 7.3? I think he's a bit pricey. He's been running hot. And then we don't even have to talk about the Texas pitching, but any interest in attacking Hauser or attacking the bullpen game from Texas?
No, I'm going to pass on both of these pitchers tonight for in that Texas game. So Hauser, I've got down like the 17th option on the slate, just too expensive, not enough strikeouts there.
Agreed.
So yeah, I'll be passing there on that. But I love the offense. Do you love the offense? I mean, Texas would be my side. I've no real interest here on the White Sox side. I would play some Texas. I always like Langford as a nice one-off piece. Even at 4,800, I think is a really good price for him. I think you've got some upside here with Seager at 4,400. A lot of pop. I like some Texas secondary stacks more so than their main stacks, and I'm going to pretty much be punting all of the White Sox lineups.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. I like the top 5 or 6 from the Rangers, probably secondary stacks, like you said. After the big week they had in Minnesota, the price tags are up a bit, but I think that's fine. And on a slate where, like, stats, we haven't really talked about loving much offense, like we talked about the Baltimore game, the Mets, and the Braves. I think Texas is pretty reasonable here going up against Adrian Hauser. I will say he's much, much worse against left-handed hitting. So Josh Smith, Corey Seager, Evan Carter are the main guys that I want in there. All right, let's keep it moving. God, 12 games is so much. The Twins and Houston. Interesting matchup here. Chris Paddock and the rookie Colton Gordon, who's been good so far. Both guys pretty cheap here. Any interest in either pitcher in Houston?
I'll give a sec. We've got so I've got, let's see, for Paddock, I've got him as the 11th option. So he'll make my 150, but certainly not going to be heavy. And Gordon right below him. So I think both of these guys will be in the mix, but they'll be kind of single digit type of plays for me. So not too much. They're probably right around 5%, somewhere in that range for both of these guys. So I'll just kind of sprinkle them in. I think as far as the bats go, I do like the Minnesota bats here a little bit more. I think we're getting a good price on some of these Minnesota bats. Jeffers at 3,700, Correa at 3,500. Buxton's always a good play. We're getting Walker. Look, Walker hit one the other day, didn't he? For us, it's Wednesday when I had him. He was almost my home run call, Walker, and I didn't want to hear
cheap Royce Lewis is. 2,700. Royce Lewis.
Yeah, Royce Lewis, man, 2,700, and I think all these guys. So the Minnesota side, we've got some decent 5-man stacks. Bader at 3,100. I think you could play them more so than I like the Houston stacks, but I do like some Houston plays maybe as secondary stacks with on the Houston side. But I think the bats are in play. We're gonna, it's kind of the theme here tonight. We don't have the absolute you have to hammer stacks here. So I think you're gonna have to find one of these middle level stacks. I think the Boom Report's gonna help you out with that tonight when I post that after the show. I think really the way to look, and this could be the game, is to look for some of these stacks off of the really popular ones, which is going to be like Atlanta. Still, Baltimore will be popular because none of these teams are really that far out in front as far as when we look at the team total and that stack sheet that I do, where I think you have to get over the market on any of these high owned projected stacks. So I think this one offers us some leverage. I think we got some really good leverage plays on both sides. I think the tournament edge you'll see is going to be really high for both of these teams. So I'm kind of bullish on the bats here as sneaky plays on both sides, especially Minnesota.
Yeah, I lean the Twins side too. I just don't love playing into the Twins bullpen. By far the best bullpen in baseball right now. I think that's enough of a tiebreaker on a big slate. Colton Gordon's been good so far, but I think he's going to eventually get touched up by right-handed hitting, and he's going to face 8 right-handed hitters tonight. I think it's a really tough spot for him. So I kind of like the Twins as one of those teams that's kind of lying in the weeds with a 4.5 team total here, stats like you were saying, that could bubble up and be a top stack. Also, like you said, I think you can double spend a pitcher or at least get to crochet with a 5-man here very, very easily at these price tags. So I'm in on the Twins here. I have some interest in Paddock. He's bounced back really well from a rough start to the season. Last 10 starts, 2.2 ERA, 0.97 WHIP. Been really the big thing here for me stats is he's been pretty dominant against right-handed hitting, and specifically against Houston. That's huge, right? Because they're going to run out 7-8 right-handed hitters. His main knock throughout his career is that he's basically been fastball changeup, which is why he hasn't really ascended into that next tier pitcher. But he's added a slider lately, and it's really been helping him. As you can see in his results, it just helps you get through the order that second and third time having that third pitch. So kind of a matchup specific play against a team that's going to run out a bunch of right-handed hitters against a guy who's been really, really good against righties. So I think Paddock is playable, more of like in 20 or more type of stuff. I'm going to have him in my 20, not my main lineup. So I'll have some Paddock. Really, really like the price tags on these Twins. I think they're going to be gaining on me as we head towards lock. All right, let's go to Kansas City. The A's are in town. Luis Severino up against Michael Wacha here. I don't have much interest in Sevy here. And then Wacha, he just keeps plugging along, like 3.01 ERA as he enters his mid-30s here. Any interest in him in the mid-7s?
Oh, I definitely have interest in Wacha. Yeah. 4th best option, I think, on the slate. We'd certainly love to get more strikeouts, but, really good control. Don't expect a lot of walks. Don't expect him to give up a whole lot of runs either in this game. So I'm going to have a decent amount of Wacha. I got to see where do we have him as far as the ownership goes.
I'm seeing
we've got
mid-teens,
17 and change.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. I think I'm going to want on my 150s to get above that for sure. I think 25 to 30 for me on Waka is going to be good. And then yeah, I don't have much interest on Severino. I've got him as the 13th option. I'll probably maybe just sprinkle in a handful, if that, in my 150 builds, but not enough strikeouts against this Kansas City team that just, they're tough to play against. They're tough to target against because the lack of strikeouts in that offense. We've got Severino's only at 3.5 Ks in the prop market. You only got 4.5 for Waka. Again, not a big strikeout pitcher either. But we're hoping to get the outs and keep the earned runs down with Waka tonight and get a W. That's what we're looking at for that price tag. So I do like Waka. Don't love the bats really much at all for either side. I think I'm just going to stay away from this game offensively.
Yeah, I mean, on a huge slate, we don't have to have exposure to all of them. Just kind of a tough park to really rally. So I'm with you. I'm going to have Waka. The A's have been struggling big time of late. Big park, just kind of seems like a guy who knows how to pitch with the fly balls in that big Kauffman Stadium. So I'm with you there. If I was playing the KC guys, it would be the lefties. Vinny Pasquantino's been red hot. And the kid they called up, I think, are the two that I have in my pool. Yeah. So it's going to be one-offs from me on the KC side, and no ace bats for me against Waka here. Let's keep it moving. Let's go to Milwaukee. I think this game's interesting here. Freddie Peralta and Eric Fetty going up against each other. Peralta, I think, has been overpriced for most of the year. Always comes in, I think, higher on than he should. Interested to hear what you think about him here against a pretty pesky St. Louis team. And then Eric Fetty, I don't have any interest in. And I do want to talk about the Brewers bats after we talk about the pitching. What do you think here?
Yeah, I'm going to be playing Peralta for sure. 9,500. It's a little pricey. I've got him just below Holmes, but they're pretty tight. I do expect him. What was that?
I said, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, no, I do expect him to get. I think the upside with Peralta is a little bit higher than it is with Holmes. And like I said, I've got them right in the same range, but we've got a better K per inning number projected here for Peralta, 1.1. And then it's the walks that you're going to worry about with Freddie. So I do like him though on this slate. Fetty, just really no interest for me at all. Last night or yesterday on that short slate, I put in a Milwaukee in the core because we were fading Gray. So fading Gray wound up being good, but apparently there were no stacks yesterday that were worth playing on that short slate.
It was a weird slate. I mean, the Brewers had the highest score with 6 runs, and it all happened in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Nothing else happened on the entire slate.
It sucks when you kind of you take that fade play and it sort of works, but didn't quite work. So it looked like it was sharp, but not quite sharp enough to. Sometimes that's just the way it works out with these with the way the slates go. It was an odd one, but yeah, tonight a little bit different. I don't particularly care for much offensively in this game. So we'll see. Let me just bring up where I had just off the top of my head. Actually, well, let me take it back. So the Milwaukee,
I like the Brewers
projecting out much better than I thought. Now that I look at it and bring it up, so I'm mistaken. So I had them pretty high yesterday, at least from standpoint as far as a tournament edge and in GPPs. They could be another good GPP play again tonight. St. Louis for me, no real chance, but I think you could sneak in some Milwaukee stacks here as a pretty good contrarian GPP play.
Yeah, I really like Milwaukee here against Fetty. Fetty, just one of those guys, like one of the Randy Vasquez's of the world, who's just been sun running pretty much the entire season. He's got a 3.54 ERA, but he's got the worst estimators on the entire slate, on a 12-game slate. Slate worst 5.28 expected ERA, slate worst 5.08 xFIP. He doesn't miss any bats. The walk rate's north of 10%. He's been really lucky with the fly balls too, only a 6% home run per fly ball. So been really lucky to not have given up more power than he has so far this season. I just think it's on a slate where we're kind of looking for these, mid 4 team totals to see which ones are going to pop. I think the Brewers are my sneaky stack of the slate here. They're still cheap pretty much throughout the order. Yeah, the most expensive guys, Chourio at 4.6. So, you're getting a pretty unowned team at home against a pitcher who's due extreme regression. And I think it could come tonight here in a pretty sneaky spot. So I think the best plays in this game are the Brewers bats here. I've pretty much done a long-term fade of Freddie Peralta, and I think it's burned me once this season. I just think he's been overpriced. Yeah, I mean, I do get the strikeout upside. He just rarely gets through clean. So I'll be lower on Peralta. I'm gonna have some, but I think I'd rather get up to the Crochet Yamamoto tier that's only 1,000 more, or go down to the Bryce Elder, Waka, Gavin Williams tier. We'll talk about Gavin here soon. So yeah, it's just kind of a personal preference thing for me, kind of a long-term stand. So that's worked out at least decently so far. Any last thoughts on this game? I want to talk about the Brewers bats again real quick.
Yeah, just I'm looking at it over in I definitely like Milwaukee a lot better than I had thought coming in, and then Collins at 2,900 is going to fit nicely as well. A lot of speed, but I'm going to want to use him in my certainly in stacks more so than one-offs. A lot of stolen base potential here from the Milwaukee lineup as well. So, and Collins more of a stolen base threat. So I like him in the middle of that lineup if they can put some runs on the board. I think Milwaukee will be sneaky. They could be a very good contrarian type of play tonight.
Yeah, I like him a lot. All right, let's keep it moving. What is next on DK? We go to Arizona. Really want to talk about this game here. Padres are in town. NL West rivalry here. We got Steven Kolek against Ryan Nelson. Kolek's been really good since coming up so far. Interested to hear your thoughts on him. I think he's going to really struggle against left-handed bats moving forward. I think this I'm not sure if it's going to be sneaky, but I think this is the best game stack outside of the Baltimore game overall.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan Nelson, 6,100. I just have no interest. Not a lot of strikeouts there. And then Kolek, the same thing. I mean, we're looking at two guys with, 8,200 is just crazy for the strikeout number. I mean, we're looking at a juice 3.5 under for Kolek on strikeout. So I've got him as the worst pitcher on the entire slate at that price. So I think it's definitely, we're going to be avoiding pitching. And yeah, if we're avoiding the pitching, then we like the bats. I like the San Diego bats maybe a little bit more.
Me too.
In this one, I like their big bats. I like Tatis, Merrill, Machado. But I'm not going to stay away from Arizona either. Carroll, Suarez, Marte, all those guys rate out pretty well. I like the Arizona side more secondary. I would play more 5-man stacks, I think, with the with San Diego. We'll see what the lineup looks like when that comes out. But I think the bats here overall are really strong, and we will probably get inflated ownership on these bats because I don't really foresee much. No one's going to be playing these pitchers, which means you'll be getting, just when people are clicking their optimizers and playing 150, you're going to be sneaking a few more of these players in because just no option pitching wise, I don't believe, for most people.
Yeah, I really like the bats on both sides here. I outlined it in the playbook for the RPS members. Nelson's going to be a volatile arm going forward. If check out his box scores, you can see that just kind of on the surface level. Just a really, really tough matchup here against the Padres, who have been cold, but that's also why we're getting these price tag stats. I mean, look at the price tags on the big three for the Padres. We got Tatis at 4.7, Machado 4.9, Merrill 4.5. It's got to be the cheapest of the whole season for that trio. Going into Arizona, Arizona has had a bottom 3 bullpen for the last month and a half. So if they're able to get to Nelson, you get the bad bullpen. Their best bullpen arm, we actually just got the push alert that Martinez is having Tommy John. That sucks. So yeah, I do prefer the Padres side here, just because of that really bad bullpen behind Ryan Nelson here. So um, these price tags are just too good to pass up for me. I do think that you could also just kind of play those three as a secondary stack stats and just go Tatis, Machado, Merrill, with a cheaper 5-man. I think that could work as well.
Yeah.
And then Arizona, I think what you're going to want moving forward against Kolek is specifically the lefties. And man, the Diamondbacks just profile so well against right-handed pitching. Second in weighted runs created plus, first in all of baseball and ISO in the split against righties. They're kind of a team, stats were on big slates. You just kind of want pieces of Diamondbacks every single time against right-handed pitching. Carroll, Marte, Perdomo, Naylor, Gino Suarez has been smashing at home the entire season. Pavin Smith hits righties well. Alec Thomas has speed. It's just a great lineup, top to bottom. They're a bit expensive here, but I think that's going to eat into their ownership. I see everyone under like 8%. I really like both sides here. So yeah, this is with Baltimore putting out that shit lineup. I'm leaning more and more towards this game for some Friday night fireworks here.
Yeah, I mean, if we like, if you like Milwaukee as being sneaky, and then this is really one of the higher, where are they on the stack report? Let's see. I mean, both of these teams should be pretty high. So you've got Arizona right up there, and San Diego right behind them. So Arizona's third, San Diego's like fifth. So overall, on projected runs scored tonight, if you like that Milwaukee one, I think Milwaukee fits well with the San Diego stack actually.
Yeah.
Because you've got some spots there. You're looking at if you're going to take that as a secondary with Tatis, Merrill, and Machado, you've got other pieces from Milwaukee that will fit in there: first base, catcher, the other outfield spots. So we could get a nice 5-man stack, I think, with Milwaukee and Arizona or San Diego. That will be very few people are going to stack those two together tonight. I would think. Yeah,
I like it a lot, man. Trevor, we'll circle back at the end since I think we're going to have a couple extra minutes, and we'll check out the weather there in Atlanta. And we'll also have that in Discord. If you're a RPS member, we'll always be checking the weather up until lock. All right, Stats, we got 2 more games left, and then we got to do our draft and our end of show stuff. Let's go out to Seattle, where we've got pitching matchup, Luis Castillo, steady as she goes. The stuff is declining. He's been good at home, though. I wish he was cheaper here, man. 8,500 with his strikeout stuff right now. Interested to hear your thoughts on him. And then Gavin Williams, very talented, electric young arm, kind of putting it together. I'll have some notes after you go. What do you think about the pitchers here?
Yeah, I've got these guys, just above the midway point. I've got Castillo and Williams 9th and 10th, respectively, on the slate. Decent prices, 8,500 on Castillo. I think we got a little bit maybe better upside with Williams as far as the strikeouts go. I think the walks are what you're concerned about with both of these guys. So
absolutely,
that's the one thing that's kind of limiting them on my model right now. We could look towards the betting market, and Williams is a 5.5 juiced pretty heavily to the over, with Castillo 4.5 juiced heavily to the over on their strikeout prop. So yeah, I mean, and also not a ballpark that we really like to target bats in. We do like to target the pitchers at this ballpark in Seattle. So that may bump these guys both up for me. I'm going to wind up being with more Castillo. I know Saber has Williams up there closer to 20 and Castillo down at the kind of 12% mark. I think I might be closer to 15 to 20% on both of them. So maybe I'll be just slightly under the market on Williams and a bit over on Castillo.
Yeah, I like both these guys. Man, I do wish Castillo was a bit cheaper for the price tag, but I think you just got to play him every time he's at home. The home road splits are pretty wild. 2.25 ERA at home, 4.59 on the road. That's going to be pretty consistent with him as now a finesse pitcher, not a dominant arm that he used to be. Gavin Williams, man, might be breaking out here. He had the one tough start against the Dodgers. We'll give him a pass for that. But 6 of his last 7 starts have been really good. Gets the benefit going to the huge park, which is going to help him as a fly ball guy. One thing that love to see is when guys make changes in season and like you see results spike because of that. So Gavin Williams added a cutter stats a couple of starts ago, and he's been really, really good since adding that cutter. All like the pitch rating systems love it. And he gets a high strikeout matchup here with Seattle, fourth highest strikeout rate in the split, last 30 against righties, bottom 12 offense in the split. I like buying into stuff like this, like when a young pitcher adds a new pitch and it's rating out well. One of the only edges you can have at this point is, being ahead of stuff like that. So I'm going to buy into that, especially going to Seattle. I really like the talent. I like the price tag. I think Gavin Williams is a really, really good play here. I actually expected him to come in higher, but on a slate where outside of Crochet's projection, and we'll talk about Yamamoto next, I think there's just kind of a lot of guys who are about the same, right? Waka, we talked about earlier. So I'm going to buy into the talent here. I'm going to play Williams. I'll have some Castillo. Any bats here for you? I think the only bat I left in was Jose Ramirez in my pool.
Yeah, I mean, I would leave in Ramirez, Raleigh. You're not going to get much of him at 6K, and Julio, Steve Kwan maybe. But I'm not going out of my way to play any of these stacks. Right. Those are guys that you're just hoping to maybe get a home run for. They're going to show up pretty big, probably on the tournament edge, just because those guys all do have home run potential. So I think you're playing them as a one-off is fine. Just that ballpark doesn't lend itself to 12-game slate. Kind of the far end of the tail on the distribution. We don't get all that many games that are going to go double-digit scoring for one side in Seattle. So I tend to stay away from stacks there.
Agreed. All right, let's go to the last game here. Dodgers game. Really, really good pitching matchup to end our night stats. We get Logan Webb, who's having by far the best season of his career, adding some strikeout upside to his arsenal up against our guy, our Friday night horse, Yoshi Yamamoto, who apparently only pitches on Friday nights because we talk about him every week. He's been awesome, obviously, this season. 2.2 ERA, bunch of strikeouts. Since we're probably not going to have much on the hitting side, let's talk about the pitching here. Yamamoto versus Crochet, I think, is interesting. What do you think?
Yeah, so I mean, I've got Yamamoto as my number 2 option on the entire slate. So yeah, I mean, you're saving a couple $100. I think they're close. I still think Crochet's upside is higher, but I also think you can play those Yankee stacks against Crochet. I think you get some upside there. Where I don't necessarily advise playing any San Francisco against Yamamoto. So I don't like that leverage play nearly as much, but. The betting markets, you've got 6.5 strikeouts for Yamamoto, slightly juiced to the over. Webb's at 5.5 with the slight juice to the over. We're looking at 18.5 outs for both of these guys. Both of them are juiced to the under. So, they're both going to rate out really well for me. Yamamoto doesn't walk a lot of guys. We don't expect to give up a lot of runs in that ballpark against that giant lineup. With Webb, another guy who really doesn't walk that many, just doesn't have as much of the upside. For a guy 10K, I just want I want more strikeouts out of someone if I'm going to pay 10K. So he'll be in the mix, but just not heavily used. And yeah, I mean, we're just the bats. I really don't want to stack, but as always, to me, you can play Ohtani in these situations as your one-off. If you can get some cheap stacks and cheap pitchers, and we got plenty of them, using Ohtani as a one-off, I think. I love it on these type of slates where we're not going to get a lot of Dodger stacks. You're going to get low ownership on Ohtani. I didn't look at what Saber's projecting it, but on a big slate like this, I think it'll be one of the lower nights for ownership for Ohtani, and those are the nights I really want to play him.
Yeah, I left him in the pool. I think the decision with Yamamoto and Crochet is interesting. Like you said, the projection's close. Definitely a cleaner matchup for Yamamoto here. He's been just dominant at home, has the high ground ball rate too. I agree. Like the strikeout upside is not as high. Crochet is going to have the double-digit K games a lot more often than Yamamoto is. But yeah, like this Giants team has been terrible in the split against righties, bottom 8 in weighted runs created plus and ISO. they're coming off of the series where they were in Coors facing that awful Rockies pitching staff, and now have to go right to LA to face Yamamoto. Just a really, really tough spot for the Giants bats here. I actually thought that we'd get a larger. Yeah.
Would you use to me, Yamamoto's more of a cash game play over Crochet, that is. I like Crochet more in GPPs.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the range of outcomes for Crochet is wider, whereas I have a hard time seeing Yamamoto fail in this spot, but he doesn't have the 30 as often that Crochet does here. So I'm with you there. I think you can play both these guys with a couple of the teams that we talked about. Like we talked about how cheap the Twins are, stuff like that, I think is interesting on this slate. We do like these pitchers in the 7-8K range, but they are at least somewhat flimsy, whereas, both these guys could get 30 here. So I think that the Crochet Yamamoto combo is interesting. I think you can also play it now that all the the back half of the Orioles lineup is cheap. I think that's interesting too. So for me,
can we figure out a way to get Crochet, Yamamoto, Ohtani, and then a stack, and then stack 2 other teams?
It's got to be the Twins, right? I mean,
it's got to be
Lewis, 2,700
and then cheap Baltimore bats,
and then the back half of the Baltimore lineup, something like that. That'd be interesting. I'm with you. I'm off the web here. Just not going to play 10K pitchers, no matter how good they are at LA in this park on a 12-game slate. If it was a small slate, I think you can make an argument for it, but not for me on a slate where I already have a fairly large pitching pool. So that is all 12 games. We got a couple minutes left. Let's do the Dong draft last. Let's first do our stacks, our pitchers, stuff like that. So who are your most important pitchers on this slate here? 1 or 2?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm going to say Waka is going to be very important for me. And we'll say Elder. We're going to check that weather. But, yeah, I'll go with the 2 cheaper pitchers as being important for me tonight.
Yeah, I like Elder a ton too. I'm going to lean into the Gavin Williams stuff that I talked about, adding the cutter, these young pitchers that make a meaningful in-season change that shows results I like to buy into. So I'll go with Williams and Elder as the pitchers. Let's do stacks. Let's do a popular stack and then an under-the-radar stack for you, stats.
So yeah, I mean, I think that Atlanta stack is my favorite of the popular ones, and I mean we've been hyping up this Minnesota stack, so I hate to get off it. I know you. I mean Milwaukee stack. So, yeah. Or actually, we could go. Do we go with Minnesota? You know what? I'm going to take Minnesota as a sleeper kind of secondary stack. I'll let you take Milwaukee if you want to do that.
Yeah. I do like the Twins too, but I'll go with Milwaukee as the sneaky stack, and then I'll cop out, and I'll do the Arizona game will be in my main. I think it just goes too far under the radar for teams whose team totals are within half a run of the O's and the Braves. So that Arizona Padres game I really do like. All right, let's do our Dong draft. Haven't done one in 2 weeks since I was out last week. We'll give you the first pick.
All right, let's see. I will take Matt Olson.
Matt Olson, probably the best overall play on the whole slate. I'm going to go for a 1.5 extra here. A guy who's done absolutely nothing all season, but that's why he's 2,700. Royce Lewis stats is going yard for us tonight.
All right. I like it.
1.5x Royce Lewis.
I thought you might take my guy. I'm going to go ahead. You got to go too. Go ahead.
Yeah. And then I'm going to go out to that game in Arizona. I'm going to go Jackson Merrill going yard here. These guys are just too cheap for the spot.
All right. I'm going to stick then. I'll stick with the Atlanta guys, and I'll take Verdugo as my 3,500 or lower bat. And then I'm going to take another one. I'm going to take Christian Walker at 3,500.
Christian.
So I'm looking for a couple of 1.5x guys.
Guy has not done anything for me.
I know. I wanted to take him on Wednesday, and he hit a home run. I'm like, but I took Judge, and he got one. So.
Yeah, when I saw him hit one, I was like, oh, he stats drafts him every time.
Every time, and I passed on it.
I'll go to the O's here. I think Gunnar gets one tonight. He's going to be too owned to fail in this spot. The 35% owned Gunnar Henderson bomb just right up our asses to start the slate. It's inevitable. I think tonight. All right, I think we said it all. Wow, we're actually on time. Look at us, under an hour. This might be the first time all season stats that we've been under an hour. Everyone enjoy the. Yeah.
Have you looked at this Atlanta? Have you looked at the Atlanta weather yet?
Oh yeah, let's check on that real quick.
It is not looking good from what I'm looking at.
Oh really?
No, it doesn't look good. I mean, I'm looking at it very quickly, but I'm gonna have to look at this one. But it doesn't look like the rain stops at all night. So
yeah, storms too, which would be tough for Elder here. All right. Well, we have several people in our Discord that check the weather from now until lock. If you want those takes, you got to join us, Stats, and you got to join us at Run Pure Sports. Get in the Discord. It's a great place to be. Great community. Everyone breaking down the games all day, and then sweating the games throughout the night. All right.
Or whining like was going on a lot of last night.
Yeah. Well, that was me at the end of the slate.
Actually, yes, it was you.
It was me. At some point, I just had to vent the frustration that was happening. All right, everyone, enjoy the games tonight. Enjoy the U.S. Open this weekend, and we will see you all next week.